welcome to Is This Good? The show where we boldly, conclusively, and scientifically decide what things in this big wide world are good. I'm Matt Austin, and with me, as always, is production powerhouse Jason Doyle.
Hello.
Hi, JD. Great to have you with us. And you know him from doing stand-up on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, writing on The Late Late Show with James Corden, hosting Cash Cuties, a comedy finance podcast that analyzes guests' credit card statements and judges their spending habits. And I know you're like, ugh, everyone has a comedy finance podcast that analyzes guests' credit card statements and judges their spending habits. But this is the best one, trust me. He just purchased a certified pre-owned Prius C, and he's very excited about it. It's Fumi Abe. Fumi, welcome to Is This Good?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Shout out to my Prius. It is looking good.
I was thinking about introducing you as saying he's got that Prius C dick, but I didn't feel good about it. Didn't feel like we knew each other well enough.
No, I would have loved it if you did, but thank you.
Okay. The Prius C dick is, of course, a very efficient dick.
Yes.
So I've been listening to Cash Cuties, your podcast, and on it you've said that your inspiration for starting it was moving from a period of financial stability to a period of financial instability. So I assume is when you changed jobs, and which jobs were you changing between?
Well, it's actually a new thing. So throughout, a lot of comedians, you know, they'll like sort of quit their jobs immediately and start walking dogs and stuff like that to kind of like risk it all. I didn't do that. I worked in advertising for a very long time, and I quit. When I quit, it's because I got another like comedy job at Comedy Central making like TikTok videos over the pandemic, and then I left that job to write for Corden. But then my contract ended at Corden in June of last year. So then that was the first time I had been like, I don't have a job like really lined up and have to kind of figure out comedy. So like weirdly, it wasn't sort of this jump of like I'm gonna risk it all to do comedy. It was sort of like after, you know, like I never And it's weird because I'm like older now, you know. I think a lot of people sort of quit their jobs and go for their dreams in their like 20s. But I was too scared to do that. So like I always had a full-time job or like some sort of like income coming in. And now I'm just sort of like, it hasn't even been that long to be honest with you, but now I'm just kind of like figuring out how I can do this full time. And then I'm just always, you know, in LA especially, you're just surrounded by people who are like, they'll just come to you at parties and be like, I just sold a movie. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? And so you surround, and they like really show wealth here. I think this podcast couldn't have happened in New York because in New York, of course I have successful friends in and outside the business, but they don't really show it. Everybody takes the train. Everybody's kind of wearing the same clothes. We're all cold. But here, like, you know, I got friends going up in like Mercedes G-Class and like, you know, you just really, really show it. So you feel the financial pressures more. So that's like the space I was in when I came up with this podcast.
It's funny you say that because that's something I talk about with my friend. I moved to LA about 3 years ago. My friend from Montreal, where I'm from, moved here like a year ago. And we always talk about how it's like, if you want to feel poor, come to LA. Not just because the cost of living is high, but because when you compare yourself to what seems to be the average person, which can't be the case, this city of like 10 million people, it can't be the case that everyone is insanely wealthy, but it certainly feels that everyone is insanely wealthy. Did you say your contract ended at Corden, or did you leave because you got tired of people asking you if he was really driving the car during carpool karaoke?
No, I just didn't get renewed. So it's just like I got fired for like a better word.
It's okay. JD and I have been there too. We know the feeling.
Yeah.
We've been fired from TV jobs as well. I guess my main question about your podcast is, for people that haven't heard it, is someone will come on, a guest will come on, just like you're a guest on this show. But not only does that person have to devote their time to coming on this podcast, they have to show you their credit card statements so that you can assess, you know, income versus what they're spending on entertainment, you know, versus food versus rent and all this stuff. To me, money is still like the last taboo. So how do you get people to open up and share their credit card statements with you?
Yeah, so, you know, at first we knew this would be a problem, so we kind of asked close friends. And I think for people, money, I think asking someone to show me their like checking account or like how much they have is like different than asking if you can show me your credit card statement, because that's just like how much you're spending on one card out of probably multiple. So it's not like your entire life. So if you really think about it, it's not like that invasive. And I always tell them they can sort of take out whatever they want to take out and not show me like that. I think in the earlier, we've only been doing it like 13 episodes, but like in the earlier Cash Cuties, we were just sort of like finding funny purchases and hoping there's a story behind it. Now we're doing this thing where like you send me it in like a CSV format and I like categorize everything. And instead of like going purchase by purchase, you know, I just like, we do this thing called the racial preference analysis where I look at like every time you dine out and I categorize what cuisine you're eating. And I see like which cuisine you prefer. And sometimes that can be funny, especially if you're interviewing somebody who's like all about being Korean or something. And it turns out they love Italian food more, you know? So like, we do stuff like that where it's more like big picture, like funny patterns as opposed to like, wow, like you spent this much on this, unless that's like a huge thing that comes up. And so I think after I'm able to show them like an example of what we do, it certainly feels like less invasive. But that said, we just had somebody on who was an OnlyFans star and like she was so open and she like gave me her like entire bank statement with how much she's making and stuff like that. So like, you know, it just depends on like how much you want to give me, and then that like feeds into like the comedy.
I wasn't going to mention the OnlyFans thing because it might come up in the first question that I ask you once we get to Is This Good topics. But if in case it doesn't come up, because it was fascinating, you said that the amount that an OnlyFans person makes will make you want to walk into the ocean. How much does an OnlyFans person make?
So this is like, and again, I'm not like, she says this on her podcast, so this is public information at this point. It obviously, so she's been doing this for years. Keep in mind that it's only been like a year since she's able to do this. Every month is a hustle, you know, in terms of getting new people and stuff like that. But like from what I saw, this is gross income, not including like, you know, expenses and stuff. Hey,
like let's not judge. I don't think it's that gross.
It was, dude, I mean, are you guys ready? 1 month, she made $80,000.
Wow.
On average, she's probably making like 50. A month, dude. A month.
Wow.
And I'm sure some of that goes to like maybe OnlyFans fees, or maybe she has a manager or like something like that. But let's just say 20% of that goes out. It's still a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, you're still doing great. You're still doing great. JD, would you rather share a picture of your junk on the internet or a picture of your credit card statement?
Wow, it's very, very tight. Very tight, those two. I think I'm going credit card, to be honest.
Okay.
Is it like, but is it that crazy to, you know what I mean? Like, it's, people have multiple ones, and I don't know, after doing it, it's like, I guess it's not like, I don't know, it's not like that crazy, especially if we're going by percentages and stuff like that, you know? And sometimes people come on because they're a financial mess, and they want me to, like, sort of roast them.
Shame them?
Like, sort of show them, shame them, but also, like, really, like, because some people have, like, a drinking problem or whatever, and they, like, I show them, like, you spent $1,800 on alcohol, that's rent, dude. Like, you know, it really puts a picture in their head. And so, like,
that's true.
Honestly, I think I'm doing the Lord's work, you know? I'm doing the Lord's work, it's fine. I'm not backing out of it.
I just don't want anyone to see how much I spend on OnlyFans, honestly.
Well, JD, hold off on spending all that money on OnlyFans because as I do housekeeping, we don't have that much money as we tell people to subscribe to our brand new Patreon. Fumi, I know you guys have one too, so you know what it's about. Some of you have already subscribed. We really appreciate the support. If you subscribe, you will get cool stuff like exclusive audio and video segments in every single show that non-Patreon people won't hear. Access to our Discord server, a live stream where you can hang out with JD and I and ask questions. The first one of those is happening March 30th, so definitely sign up before then. And you can even get credited on the show. So go to patreon.com/isthisgood. Fumi, I like how on your show people are just sending you Venmos willy-nilly. They're not even, there's no organized principle. At the start of your show, you'll just be like, yeah, someone gave me $8.
Yeah, that's been a while. I mean, we have a Patreon now because the system was flawed because people were sending my co-host way more money. And I was like, this is not fair. So we have a Patreon now. But yeah, in the beginning, we were like, I don't even think we should have one because we don't have enough listeners. But people like to give us money, so, you know, it is what it is.
Nice.
Okay, well, donate to our Patreon first. Then, whatever you've left over, You could Venmo Fumi directly. If you have questions about the Patreon or want to send me topics for a future show, hit me up at isthisgoodpod@gmail.com. All right, Fumi, the premise of the show is super simple. I'm going to give you a topic. You tell me if it's good. All right, here we go. Mike Hawk asks, sharing a password... Well, JD, you'll see. Mike Hawk asks, sharing a password to a porn subscription site with your friend. Is this good? So he continues in an email. I identify as a heterosexual male, and I have had a subscription to a specific porn site for a number of years now. It's awesome. A lot of my friends are also heterosexual males, and based on conversations we've had over the years, it sounds like they're peeling their potato to free porn. I promise you what I have is better. Being the thoughtful friend that I am, and knowing there can be multiple devices logged into my account, I have offered my password to multiple friends over the years, and no one has taken me up on it, even though I've told them how much better it is. Now, maybe they're also paying for something and are too ashamed to admit it, and that's fine, but I have no shame. So I ask you, is sharing a pay-for-porn password with your buddy good? Regards, Mike Hawk. Yeah, Mike Hawk's not his real name, but he did put that name in the email. That was the name he wanted me to read.
I love this. Well,
this is just an A plus email. I like he's acting like he's like a spice merchant, like coming to England for the first time, like with black pepper. It's like, I know you guys have been enjoying food just fine, but I got a way to make it way better.
Have you tried paprika? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how many times he had to clarify he was heterosexual, which makes me think he's definitely homosexual. For sure. That information has nothing to do with the question. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of this at all. That was hilarious.
You do make a good point. I also don't like the phrase peeling your potato.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's like, with every expression for masturbation, it's like you immediately get what they're saying, but I am fully envisioning like a potato peeler, like going across a shaft, and
that's a two-handed maneuver as well, right?
That's true. Well, that's how heterosexual this guy is, JD.
He's so tough, man.
He's just flexing. All right, Fumi. So what's the vibe here? What are you thinking about this?
I mean, okay, it's tricky. Here's some pros and cons. I guess it's like the reasons why it could be good is because, I think me, like most people, I do not pay for porn because there's so much free stuff out there. And maybe I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe I need to talk to that spice merchant. Maybe there is the paprika of porn, and it's going to add a new dimension to my porn consuming experience, and that would be incredible. I guess the weird thing is, I think that when it comes to like watching porn, like masturbating, there is like this element of you need to be alone, right? And it's like a very solo activity.
By definition. Well, I guess you could parallel play, but sure.
Sure. Yeah, you can do parallel play, but come on. Most of us are just sort of doing it in the dark corner of a room, when our girlfriends are out getting groceries or something, when you have 20 minutes, that's just me.
You gotta be quick.
So there is that that privacy element to it, which I think is good. I think it makes it better, the whole experience. But then if you share an account, it's kind of like Netflix, where they can just see what you've been watching. You know what your friends have been watching, and I just think that's like simply too much information. So I would say if it was a spectrum, it's like 70% good. Logistically it's good, but you have to be prepared if your friend's really into like, hentai animal porn, and that's just something you have to live with. I don't know.
So does it change it for you if it's like a Netflix thing where the first screen pops up and it's like Matt, Fumi, and we both have little avatars?
Yeah, that's a genius idea. But then I would click on Matt. I'd be just like,
exactly. Yeah, because I think that is truly something that Mike is not thinking of here. Is the algorithm switch up? Like, I assume that like everything, this service has some sort of algorithm. I get pissed off at this point. I don't even know how many people have my HBO Max password, and every time I turn it on, I'm like, it's like, you want to watch Velma, and I'm like, I don't want to watch Velma. What? Why? because someone else is going in there and screwing everything up. So imagine how screwed up the algorithm could get if you had one of Mike's friends in there, going full tentacle porn.
Even on Pornhub, someone could very well search Velma, and that's something you gotta watch. So
and totally I'm gonna guess there is something there. JD, what do you think on this one? Would you share?
Well, hey, listen, I admire Mike's generosity for sure, and openness. That is to be admired. But you know me, I am an old school guy when it comes to paying for content. I don't share my Netflix password. When Netflix was changing its policies, adult friends over 40, over 50 were panicking like you just said, Matt. I don't even know where my original login came from, they don't know what they're going to do. And I'm like, I've been paying for all this shit like a fucking sucker this whole time. So I like to pay for my content, and I like to keep it close to the vest. And yes, the algorithm thing is a problem because my kids destroy my algorithm. I don't want to know. Like, Matt, we've known each other for 20 years.
True.
And we've definitely discussed sex in a way that's
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, but never personal. Never personal. Right?
Yeah, that's a good distinction.
Like, you have never told me a sex story, and I don't want to hear a sex story that involves you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry that I'm sure Fumi, who I've known for 20 minutes, would love to hear a yarn that I spin from the bedroom.
Going back to JD's point for a second, I do think there's something about how, I think there's an age. I don't know how old Mike Hawk is, but there is an age element.
Wait a second, I just got that.
But, I do think there comes a point where you need to pay for your own shit. I remember when I stopped pirating Photoshop and I just started paying for it. That was a really big deal in my life. If you're a high schooler, that's okay. So yeah, if Mike Hawk is a college student, working at some whatever job with his boys, that's fine. But maybe Mike Hawk is somebody who went to high school with JD. He's an older man. That guy needs to pay for his own shit. It's not really
and
about.
he is.
Yeah,
he's paying. That's the thing, right? It's his friends that are the dead offers. That's not a thing.
I'm going to say this is not good, but I've never wanted to share anything. I mean, I don't subscribe. I think one problem with OnlyFans is once you're in a relationship, paying for OnlyFans feels too specific. Because, I think, sure, we all watch porn, but when you pay for OnlyFans, you're paying for a specific person. And I feel like your partner maybe would feel uncomfortable that you're like, well, it's not just a random different woman that I like to look at every time. It's this specific one. And she's much nicer to me than you. And I love her.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The situation that I've run in where the only time I've ever wanted to share anything that relates to porn is when I see something truly unintentionally funny. And we're so used to meme culture where it's you see something funny on the internet, you send it to your friend. Because they'll get it. I once saw this thing where it was a woman was naked and a man was dressed as Superman. And he picked her up and went like that, put his arm in the air, and then in the worst special effects green screen ever, they shot through the ceiling and they were just flying naked over a city. And I was like, this is so goddamn funny. I want to send it to someone, but then I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Why are you sending this to me? I'm at work. How did you come across
I have a
this?
family. Yeah.
I have a family. So, yeah, the sad thing is, sometimes you want to bless people with a funny thing. You just want to give them a giggle, but you can't do it because it's going to be a bigger problem than it is. It's not worth it.
I've definitely come across funny porn stuff, but I've never shared it to my friend. I'll be completely honest. Not to shame your behavior, but I've never... I'll share a meme, But I've never, like, I just feel like it's, to your point, it's like kind of intense to send a Pornhub link to someone because you don't know where they're at or who they're with.
Okay. Okay, Fumi, that's why you got to convert it into a bit.ly first. So, Fumi, before the show, we poll people on Twitter just to see where everyone's at, and 66% of people say sharing a password to a porn subscription site with your friend is not good. I thought it might be higher, to be honest. All right, next topic. Corey C. asks, asking the Uber driver to change or turn down the music. Is this good? So Corey writes, on one hand, I'm like, this guy's working. He deserves to listen to what he wants, and at the volume he wants to listen to it. On the other hand, it's 5 a.m., and I don't need Avril Lavigne's complicated blasting as I head to the airport. It does seem rude to ask, though. So, Fumi, what do you think about this one? First of all, it could be a lot worse than Avril. I mean, imagine you're driving to the airport, and he's listening to the full album, and then I'm With You comes on, and just that wistful chorus as you're staring out the window and the Los Angeles rain is tapping against the pane. You know, that could be a nice experience. Yeah. But what do you think? Would you ever ask an Uber driver to change or turn down the music?
I've been in the situation, and I don't do it because I just feel that it would be... It's not awkward, it's just like... I think anytime you do anything in an Uber, there's this risk of, like, they might give me a bad rating, you know? And, like, I could give them a bad rating, too, but maybe we're at, like, a sort of a... What is the analogy? Sort of like a Mexican standoff where it's like, maybe we both kind of have our guns like this, like, I'll give you a bad review, you give me a bad review, but then you don't actually do it and you just get out the car. Let's just be honest, the ride is 15 minutes anyways, you know? So you just kind of take it. So I don't think it's good because I agree. I think Uber drivers get shafted a lot with the payment and stuff like that. And let's be honest. I think the driver is fully aware. He's blasting the music. He's aware. You know what I mean? Like, it's no one is not in on what's happening right now. You know, so he's doing it on purpose. So I don't necessarily think that you asking him to turn it down, he might pretend not to hear you. I don't know if it's gonna really have an impact. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things where, like, if you really didn't enjoy it, you leave that shitty review after. And you sort of, you know, you just enjoy that. You enjoy that you maybe have potentially risked him losing his job. I don't know. I don't think you say it. Exactly. I don't think you say it.
So you think he might do the frat boy asshole move of where you're like, sorry, sir, could you turn the music down? And then he turns it up and he's just like, sorry, can't hear you, man.
Yeah, I feel like they would. Because they know. If you're blasting, they know. They know it's too loud. And they don't give a fuck already, so...
What about the move where you get in and they're very intent on having you pick the music? They're like, hey, what do you want to listen to? And you're like, you know, whatever you got on's fine. No, seriously, what, you know, anything you want. I got, you could have my phone. I got Spotify. You're like, no, whatever. Like, do you like that when they're putting the pressure on you to select music?
You know, it's so funny because I lived in New York for so long before I moved here. So most of my Uber experiences are from New York. And in New York, they don't do that. They don't talk to you because they're like loosely affiliated with like the taxi association or something. But every time I've gotten an Uber in like a random state like Ohio or something, they do shit like that, and it always throws me off so much. So for me, it's kind of like funny. But if that was part of my daily routine, I would absolutely hate that. But I don't know. I'm actually kind of a dick in Ubers, to be honest. Like, sometimes I'll just, like, if they do stuff like that, I'll pretend like I didn't hear them, or just look out the window, or, like, I don't say anything, and I try to make it very clear I don't want to talk or be talked to. So
Fumi has selected a quiet ride.
yeah, exactly.
I think if you grew up in the age of cabs, which all of us did, you realize that, I mean, you had no choice. You could not make any selections. There was a 99% chance the person would be yelling loudly into their phone. So I feel like anything that happens in an Uber is sort of a step up from that. JD, where are you at on this one? I'm going to guess you would never ask a driver to turn down their music.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I should. I think it is good. I'm going to land on good on this one.
Okay.
But I've never done it. I don't even have the balls to click the... Oh, I want a quiet ride. Like, I don't even have the... You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that is rude. Like, don't talk to me. Through an app, I wouldn't do it. And then I end up fucking small talk the whole time, like, that I feel I need to keep up. frankly, if the music is blasting, it's kind of a relief to me because I don't have to talk to them. You know what I'm saying?
100%. This guy's driving around in his Elantra for like 4 hours straight. Let him listen to the worst techno in the world, which he's definitely listening to.
It's always techno.
It's the worst techno in the world.
It's never Avril Lavigne. I guarantee you that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
So, Fumi, 55% of people say asking the Uber driver to change or turn down the music is good, actually.
Okay.
So, JD, I guess they're with you on this one, but you're too much of a pussy to speak your mind.
That's exactly right.
All right, Fumi, it's time for the Is This Good segment where, unfortunately, everything's bad. It's time to pick your poison. So here's how it works. I'm going to give you 3 related options that are all bad, and you have to pick your poison. So whichever you consider the least worst option. But there is a right answer. So in your honor, Fumi, today's topic is related to finance. So these are just annoying financial things. They're all annoying, they're all bad, but you're going to have to tell me which is the least worst. All right, first option. You move into a 2-bedroom apartment with Lisa, a girl you met on Craigslist. You split the $2,000 rent evenly. The day after you sign the lease, she announces that her boyfriend Steve is moving in with her. Fucking Steve. He's unemployed. He loves cooking at home and using every available pot and pan. He doesn't have any friends, so he never leaves. He keeps his mountain bike in the hallway. He moves extra side tables from his old place that clutter the living room. And he keeps asking if you want to rip a quick game of Wii bowling with him. When you suggest to Lisa that she should pay more, she says, there's 2 rooms. We agreed to split it per room, and I'm only still taking up 1 room. Now your home has become a prison. All right, second scenario. You treat your friend Blaine to a nice dinner on his birthday. A couple weeks later, you go out to dinner again, and he says, why don't you get this one, and I'll get you next time. The next time you go out, he hits you with a, fuck, sorry, I forgot my wallet. Cover me, and I'll Venmo you. The Venmo never comes. Then it's your birthday, and he doesn't get you shit. Finally, you text him and directly ask him for the money back. He says, oh yeah, my bad, of course. Money's a bit tight right now. I'll hit you up next week when the direct deposit hits. An Instagram notification pops up on your phone. It's Blaine posting a pic. He's in Turks and Caicos at a very fancy all-inclusive resort. You are probably not getting that money back. Okay, third and final scenario. It's the night before a big presentation at work when you get a text from your buddy Downtown Danny. He invites you out for dinner with some friends of his from the Goldman trading floor. You turn him down because money's a bit tight and you have to be in bed early. He pressures you saying he's heading out of town for a while. So, you go, you order first, keeping it light and frugal with an appetizer and no alcohol. You then listen in horror as you hear other people say words like A5 Wagyu, Santa Barbara Uni, White Truffle, Premier Cru. The bill is split evenly and everyone agrees Danny shouldn't pay, so now you're at $400 even though you didn't drink. Well, at least Danny enjoyed the wine. Wait, where is he? Puking it all up in the bathroom? Cool. So, Fumi, it's time to pick your poison. So these are your 3 scenarios. You got the roommate situation with Lisa. You got deadbeat Blaine. And you've got Downtown Danny, who invites you out with his high roller friends, even though you barely ate and you didn't drink, and you didn't even want to be there in the first place. Suddenly you're out a shit ton of cash. So which is the least worst to you? Do you want to go through them one by one?
I mean, the first one is probably the worst because it's like an annual commitment, you know, if we're going by. And so not only is the financial damage the largest, but also like the everyday mental toll. I mean, I would not let this happen, or I would have to have like a serious talking to, you know. But if this is the situation, I mean, this is just awful. This is kind of like, you know, what that show Broad City with that like deadbeat boyfriend character.
Yeah.
Bevers, I think was
Bevers,
his name.
Yeah.
It's like that, but like not cute and funny and just like all weed. Just listening to all this gave me so much anxiety. I hate all this so much. That's probably the worst one.
Agree.
What was the second one? Downtown Danny was the second one, or the
second one's Blaine.
Guy?
So it's just a friend that he keeps pretending that it's like a 50-50 thing, but clearly it's not.
Yeah. This is very realistic. I feel like financially this is like the lightest damage, so I'd probably go with this one. But I think it's indicative of a lot of like friendships I may have had in the past where like it's, I think everybody has that friend you're like, you want to be their friend so bad, but they don't really fuck with you that much, and you go out of your way to do stuff, and then you just get, but you know what? I did say this is probably the most financially light one, but I lied because I feel like you have to go to therapy after this because Danny or Blaine doesn't like you. And now you're like in your head about it, and you have to live with that. So yeah, this one's really sad. This one's really sad.
Okay, and then the third one is Downtown Danny. He's, this has happened to us all. Like, we have friends that suddenly start making a lot more money than us and maybe aren't sensitive to the fact that we're not making as much, and they're insisting we go to fancy places, putting some pressure on us, hanging with a high-rolling crowd. So, yeah, what do you think about this one?
I hate this one. I honestly, if this happened to me, I would just leave. I wouldn't even pay anything, and I would just leave. And I don't think they would do anything. I'd be like, hey, this is fucked. Bye. And I would just leave. I would just leave. This is crazy. This is so crazy. Yeah, $400. Fuck that. I mean, I know it's only a one-time thing, but this one somehow hurts more than the second or third one because it's just so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. And now, again, the mental toll is high.
You would agree that in like 90 to 99% of situations, splitting the bill evenly is the best course of action, or are you a line item guy?
I think like most of the time it's fine, but it depends. I think when you're going out with like 3 or 4 people max, and you sort of order a bunch of stuff and you share everything, and maybe one guy had like one more drink than you, it's fine, But this sounds like it's like a big group dinner, and people are ordering like Wagyu steak and Santa Monica uni and stuff like that. So I think it's case by case. But I will say a lot of times in major cities you don't have a choice, right? Because like in New York and LA, they don't really do separate checks for you, which is really, really annoying. So I think it's, I'm a big Venmo guy. I'm a big Venmo guy. But yeah, I don't know. I hate this. I hate this so much. It makes me uncomfortable.
So where are you going? So you're going with the middle one? Then Blaine is the least bad?
I'm gonna go with Blaine because I think the financial damage is the least. But I think in exchange to that, I'm taking a bigger mental hit, But I'm willing to fuck my brain up as long as my bank statement, my bank account is okay. So I'm gonna go with option B.
Okay, option B. JD, before I give the correct answer, where are you leaning on this one?
I'm going roommate.
You going roommate?
Yeah.
Why?
I just feel like I can just go in my room and forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I also, that gives me like the social credit to do my own shit in the apartment. You know what I mean? My girlfriend's gonna move in, that kind of thing. I'm gonna park my mountain bike in the hallway.
So you're just gonna make it worse for everyone, yourself and everyone.
That's right.
This one I cannot pick because this literally happened to me. I moved in with someone, and then the day after I moved in, someone I didn't know, someone from the internet, and they were like, oh yeah, my girlfriend's moving in. And they did not understand why they should be paying any more in rent. I could not get them to understand it. And it just like, because it's a little untangible to say, like, yes, I understand there's 2 rooms, we're splitting the rent because we're each in one room, but you should pay a tax for making me not be able to enjoy every other room in this apartment. Right. Yeah. And now it's not just like my roommate's out so I can have the full place. Now there's like a good chance that when my roommate's out, her boyfriend's still here. Or when her boyfriend's out, my roommate's still here. So it just makes everything suck. The correct answer is B, it's Blaine. Woo! I agree with you, Fumi. I think he's still your friend. You might one day get that money back. He might one day come into some money and take you out.
You're never getting that money back.
But then at least you know, and it's like you can contain it to these 3 times, and now you're not friends with Blaine anymore. But it's the one you have the most control over.
Fumi is 100% right. The mental toll that Blaine will inflict on you because he doesn't like you. That's the real expensive thing here. He doesn't like you, and he'll never like you, and you'll never get that money. Ever.
we've got more topics to get to. We'll explore them now in our gently paced speed round we call the Chaotic Good. And this one's for the Patreon sickos only. To subscribe to Patreon, go to patreon.com/isthisgood, and you too can hear the full episode and all the amazing answers. All right, that was the Chaotic Good. To subscribe to Patreon, go patreon.com/isthisgood, and you too can hear the full episode. Man, the laughs we had, right, Fumi?
Oh my goodness.
People don't know what they're missing.
They really got to subscribe. It was really great.
Actually, you told us the real reason you got fired from James Corden, and some people are not going to hear that. It's upsetting. All right, Fumi, there's only one thing left to do, and that's play subjective trivia. So, subjective trivia is just like regular trivia, except only I know the answer. I have my answer written on this card here. Before I get to today's question, I want to introduce you to the characters in today's question. So, JD, if you could please put up the slide. Again, we're running with a financial theme here, so I got 4 financial gurus for you to take a look at here. I'm not sure what you think of these fellas. We got Jim Cramer, Mr. Mad Money himself. You should definitely remove all your savings from your 401k and day trade based on his tips. He's never wrong. We've got Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. The counter example I give whenever people ask me, how come there's no assholes in Canada? He is one of ours, being Canadian, and so I feel like I could talk shit about him because he sucks. We got Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, also on Shark Tank. The Benefactor, remember that show where he just went around handing people cash, which is like half of all TikToks right now is just people giving people money.
I know.
And then we've got Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, one of the richest men in the world, famous for still living in that modest home he purchased in 1958. All right, so we got these 4 financial gurus. Today's question is, which of these 4 people would you trust to Instacart for you? So one of these, you put your Instacart order in for, let's say, the grocery store. One of these people is going to be the guy that goes in, gets the groceries, delivers them to you. Who do you trust most? And let's see if it matches my answer.
I'll be honest, I don't know the top 2 guys because I'm not a financial expert, okay? We are a personal finance podcast, okay? I don't know shit about money. I don't know anything, okay? So I don't know who these 2 guys are. I do know Mark Cuban, and I do know Warren Buffett. You know, I've been watching, I don't know if it's because my algorithm, but like a lot of like Warren Buffett interviews have been coming up on my TikToks for some reason. And like, he seems like a pretty cool guy. Like he's not like, I know he's rich as shit, but he never has the sort of like aura of like an Elon Musk or like a Kanye or like, you know, like he's not like flaunting his wealth. There's an interview where he's like, I'd probably be happy if I made like $100,000, you know, like he seems very modest about it. And with investments and stuff like that, he's like, if you don't know what you're doing, just like invest in like the Vanguard index is what he says. Just invest in that. That's all you need to do, and you'll be fine in like 30, 40 years down the line. So I would pick him, but he's old as shit. So I don't know if he can really pick out the items. Also, like, I like to get like, you know, specialty like Japanese grocery items and stuff. I don't know if he can find
he ain't stepping into H-Mart.
No, he's not. He's not. You know, he might just turn around the second he sees like oxtail. He might be like, "No, I don't know what that is. That's not food." So, Mark Cuban, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't trust him because he would probably pay someone else to do it for him or something, and like it would be all wrong. And I don't know these other guys, which is the one that
I was gonna say you don't want the 2 people you know. You don't know the other 2 people. I'll briefly. Jim Cramer, his show's Mad Money. He's sort of famous. Like he's got these sound effects that are like buy, 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 sell, 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 and he's turned like financial advice into pure entertainment. It's like all bullshit. And he was famously called out by Jon Stewart on The Daily Show after the 2008 crash, and Jon Stewart was just like showing him clips of being like Bear Stearns folding and him being like, I think it's a great time to get in the market right now. So he's sort of like a big cartoon character. And then Kevin O'Leary, as I said, he's Canadian. He was on the Canadian version of Shark Tank, which is called Dragon's Den, and then they promoted him to the show, so he got to go on Shark Tank America. He's pretty conservative. He's part of the Conservative Party in Canada, and doesn't seem like a great guy. Him and his wife were involved in a murder. They did.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well,
A manslaughter. A
manslaughter, yeah.
Yes.
They were, I just want to say, for legal reasons, they were, it was his wife, I think, that was on trial for driving a boat, hit someone. You know, she was innocent, not convicted, but
Wow.
two people did die.
He got charged for murder. Or,
He did not. They
wife
were in a
did.
boat
His
together. They hit someone.
I
They
see.
said that the other boats didn't have their lights on, and she was driving, so I think she was on trial. Again, completely innocent.
I'm gonna pick that guy, the murder guy.
Okay.
Really? Wow.
Because I feel like people who like have murdered or like have been on trial for murder, they're like all about like attention to detail because they know everything could be an alibi, everything can be, you know, questioned. They have to have like a photographic memory even because you don't know when they're gonna get, you know, interviewed by the FBI or whatever. So I think his attention to detail is actually superior than these other guys who don't kill people. So I'm gonna go so like that guy.
Okay, JD, quickly, anyone
You
jump
don't
out
think
at you?
Warren Buffett has any bodies buried in that modest home of his?
That's why he doesn't move, because he doesn't want anyone digging up the backyard.
I'm going to go with, it's Mark Cuban because he has he's got a great business head, obviously. The guy's a billionaire. He may end up paying, he's a generous guy, so he may end up paying for the groceries that I send him for, just because he's in a good mood. And you're also going to get some fun stuff in there. Like, he's going to throw in some ding-dongs and Twinkies and stuff, you know? Like, I feel like there'll be a good mix, and also some healthy stuff as well. So, I'm going Mark Cuban. Kramer, absolutely not. It'll just be toys and buzzers that you get. And Buffett, Fumi is 100% right. He's just too old. You're going to get, like, cream of wheat and and Coca-Cola, because he was the head of Coke at a certain point. So, so give me Mark Cuban.
Okay, well, unfortunately, you're both wrong. Second choice is Warren Buffett, but you're both correct that he's going to be, like, walking the aisles going, like, they're making milk out of almonds now? They're all rich, they're all out of touch, but the answer is Jim Cramer, and I will tell you why. He lives in New York City, and New York City is one of the few places where if you're rich, you still have to see normal people. On the train, on the subway, walking the streets. Kevin O'Leary, I'm not sure where he lives. Cuban's in Dallas, Buffett's in Omaha. They're living cloistered lives. So Jim Cramer, you might have a chance that he's been in a supermarket sometime recently. So that's my answer. Fumi, where can people find you?
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast. This is such a great mental exercise. Please find me on Instagram and TikTok at the Fumi Abe. That's TheFumiAbe. I also have a personal finance podcast called Cash Cuties, where we look at our friends' credit card statements and judge their spending habits with love. I co-host it with my friend Steffi Bake. We are on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this podcast, we're on that platform. So just when you're done listening to this, search Cash Cuties and give us a chance, please.
What about a stand-up gig coming up? This is coming out on Monday, just so you know.
I'm doing this show called Hot Tub next Wednesday on the 29th. It's a permanent record house in, it's like Silver Lake or something in LA. So if you're in LA,
I think it's like Cypress Park.
Yeah, if you're in LA, it's on the east side. Come check me out at Hot Tub. It's hosted by, I don't know their names, I forgot. Kristen Shaw and Kurt Burnham.
Oh, yeah, I know that show.
Brown Holler.
I know that show.
Brown Holler. They're famous
They're definitely going to invite you back, Fumi.
Just bleep that out. Just bleep that part out.
Okay. That will be edited. If you have topics, tweet them to me at StartersMad or email us at isthisgoodpod@gmail.com. Remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, join the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Thanks to JD. Thanks to Fumi for coming on. Go see him in person. Thanks in advance for leaving a 5-star review. For everyone, I'm Matt Austin, and this was Good We'll see you next week.